Gentlemen, it's really nice. Well, thank you very much for coming, first of all. It's really nice to see so many of you come to meet your children's teacher and to see the classroom that they're going to be spending so much of their time in this year. I can assure you the teachers have put a lot of time and effort into preparing for the year, and of course it's got off to a good start because of that. We've changed the format slightly this evening. As some of you who've been here before will know that normally we had the PTA AGM after the Meet the Teacher evening, but the main objective of that was so that we could herd as many of you as possible back into the hall to try and get you to put your names forward for the PTA. But it wasn't always very successful. So we thought this might be a better opportunity for me to perhaps give you a little bit of an address, particularly this year actually, because there's been a lot happening at St Andrews over the last couple of months. And we've got a lot to look forward to this year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but the teachers will probably carry on and give you more detail when you go back to the classrooms a bit later. Before I start though, I wanted to talk a little bit about a character who has spent a significant amount of time on our site over the last 2 months. And that's our painter, Henry Andrea. And the reason I want to talk about him is because actually there's elements of what he does that sort of embody what we do at St Andrews as a school. I think he probably would feel it quite odd that I'm using him as an example. But the reason is that he does actually exhibit some characteristics which I want to pick out because I think they're quite key to tonight's meeting. For years, just a little bit of history, for years Henry has done the painting at the school. In fact, from before I came, he actually was originally employed by the school as a casual worker. I believe he started out here cleaning iron sheets, but then very soon he was employed by the school as a painter. And he was our school painter, and he did the painting jobs at the school throughout the year when they needed to be done. And eventually, as time wore on, he moved out on his own. He went and he started his own little painting enterprise. And he would pick up odd jobs here and there, painting when people came to see him. And from time to time, he'd come and visit me and ask me for a reference or a referral for a job. And I always gave them to him. And gradually, over the course of time, his little enterprise grew and grew until he found it difficult to keep up with the demand. So about 2 years ago, over the long holiday again, over our maintenance period, although we had given him the contract for painting, the school, I noticed that there were quite a lot of other people doing the painting. It wasn't just him. So I asked him about this. And he very openly told me that he just couldn't manage the volume of work. So he'd had to recruit other painters to help him out. But he did assure me of one thing. He said the quality of his work would not go down, regardless of whether he was painting or whether it was another painter that was painting for him. And he maintained that. And this year, once again, he's done the painting, and his team has once again outperformed themselves anyway. And my point of this story is that Henry, in his little business, has exhibited one crucial factor which has ensured not only the survival of his business, but indeed that it has thrived and it has flourished. And this crucial factor is his unrelenting attention to quality. If you go into any room that he's painted in the school, you will notice that it is as flawless a job as you will find, a paint job as you will find in Malawi. And I've even, to the point that I've even witnessed him coming back to repaint a wall that I've thought is absolutely fine, but he's not been 100% happy with it. So he's redone the job himself the following day, just to make sure that it's absolutely up to his mark of quality. I'm also pretty certain about two things. I'm pretty certain he hasn't read a plethora of books about how to make a business successful. I'm also certain he's never been to university to do a business degree, to learn how to grow a business and start a business. But what he does understand is the art of painting. And he's recognized and developed this skill in himself through sheer determination, and he's built up a successful painting business by making sure that he's set a standard for himself. He believes in what he does. He believes in making sure that he provides the best quality product, and that's why his business has been successful. So at St Andrews, we're in the business of education. And calling it a business is a funny thing. And most educators would hate it being called a business, and they would totally reject that term. But that's because we're vocationalists. We're people who have entered into the vocation of teaching. And a vocation is something that really requires an investment of one's own personality into the job, and a level of dedication that typically supersedes the sort of 9-to-5 job that you find in many different businesses. Teaching is a lifestyle choice. You ask any teacher, they will tell you that. And every single one of the staff that works at this school is dedicated to the job, and they put themselves into it wholeheartedly. Teaching children is obviously, and we all know this, it's obviously something which is so valuable to every society. And it is something that's really special to be a part of. And we all know that at this school. At our school, we take it a step further as well. And rather than considering this a school, we prefer to think about it as a place where learning happens. And how does this happen? It's mainly through inspiration. Albert Einstein once said, "I never teach my pupils, I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they learn." And this is largely what we are about at St Andrews. You will have seen around the school our rules and our values in every classroom, on many of the boards, in the front office. And the values that we have, the 6 values that we have, really underpin this sentiment. Collaboration, respect, equality, to strive, creativity and integrity are all values that provide an atmosphere and an environment which is highly conducive to very good learning. I will add here, though, that even though we have these values plastered around the school, our children at this school tend to embody those values anyway, both within the school grounds and outside. And this is something that I, along with my team here, are continuously extremely proud of. Education and the right to an exceptional education is something that we as a school believe is a fundamental right for people. And every decision that we take, every development that we do, and every day's timetable is geared at making sure that we provide this to the very best of our abilities. So how do we do this? The first thing that we do is we make sure that we recruit the highest quality teachers that we can possibly afford. We spend a lot of time and effort recruiting, usually around January, February time. Interviewing, re-interviewing, finding the best practitioners to put in front of your children. And then we provide them with the best tools that we possibly can to make sure that they can deliver their craft to the high standard that we expect at this school. This year, I'm very proud to introduce our new team, or new members of our team. I'll ask them just to put their hands up as I do it. We've got Mrs. Smithyman, Miss Quirk, Mr. O'Gorman, Miss Relly and Miss Malone, our 5 new members of our team. And those of you who have children in their classes would no doubt already have heard lots about them. But if you haven't, or if you haven't met them yet, please do make yourselves known. I'm sure they'd love to meet you, and I'm sure you'd love to be able to put a face to the name. That's our staff. The second thing that we do is we provide the best facilities that we can possibly afford to help your children grow and learn most effectively, and to help our teachers to deliver their craft very effectively. You may have noticed some of the changes that have been made to our nursery and our Year 6 classrooms. If you haven't yet, I would invite you to have a look this evening or sometime. We've also installed a very exciting and a brand new facility up at the top end of the school, which is our design and technology and our cookery centre. And probably less noticeable to most people is we've had our staff room refurbished. Far from these being cosmetic changes, all of them have one thing that links them together. And I spoke earlier about the values that we have at the school. A big focus for this year at this school is developing the collaborative side of our school and of our learning and of how we do things. In other words, we're really trying hard to focus on this one particular value, and all of those centres have a focus on doing just that, developing collaboration between our children, between our teachers, and between everybody that is working at the school. The modifications this year are particularly exciting because of this, because for the first time, we actively have modified our facilities to try and fully embed one of our core values. This is really exciting. I'll give you a couple of examples. By opening up the classrooms, or by joining the classrooms together, we're providing opportunities for our children to work far more collaboratively. We're providing the opportunity for teachers to work together, to sometimes team teach, but to build on the skills of each other and to make best uses of the skills of each other. And we're obviously providing opportunities for collaborative interaction between the children as well, which is very important. And all of those three things really will develop the spirit of collaboration within the school. By developing a facility for design and technology and for cookery, we're also not only enriching our curriculum, but we're also allowing an additional space for children to work together in a creative and a fun way that for subjects like that, this is not always possible in the normal traditional classrooms that we've had before. Our children will develop their skills outside of the academics of the school, and in so doing they'll learn a lot more about their peers, hobbies, talents, that sort of thing. So far from being a static and a repetitive organisation, we believe that learning should be fun and productive. We believe that we can always improve, and we make every effort to strive towards excellence in every aspect of our school. Where systems are not meeting our needs fully, we change them. Where abilities and talents of the children are not provided for fully, the opportunity to flourish fully within our school, we attempt to provide facilities to do just that. And where we see challenges, we try to turn these into opportunities and we meet them head on. To my mind, and I know that I share the sentiment with my team, this is exactly what schooling and education should be about. Each day that I walk new and prospective parents around the school, I'm very pleasantly surprised by the initiative that is shown by all of my team in what they put into education. I'm consistently proud of how they deliver the education to our children. And this, just for these two reasons alone, it makes my walk around the school very, very enjoyable. At St Andrews, we are fully aware of the commitment, of the significant commitment that you are making towards the education of your children. And we take this responsibility very seriously, but also with great pleasure. And our commitment to you in return is that your child will receive the very best of what we believe education can offer. We hope always to exceed your expectations and to provide you with an increasingly considerate, thoughtful, confident child that has a deep set of values that will stand them in good stead for the rest of their lives. You're going to go off in a minute to meet your children's teachers, and they will give you a lot more detail about what's actually going to be happening in the year groups this year. But I will leave you with a quote by Nelson Mandela that many of you may have seen already, but I particularly like it. It says, "Education is the most important weapon, or most powerful weapon, that we can use to change the world." Thank you very much.